On October 26, 2022, Elon Musk entered Twitter ready to throw a kitchen sink of changes and make this social media website a bastion for free speech and mold it in his image. As Musk said, free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. Musk saw a lot of fat and perceived mismanagement he alone thought he could fix. Shortly after, the chaos at Twitter started, with heavy layoffs, confusion on the direction of products and even Twitter's future, and the company's new style of work. Confusion slowly steamed up to the surface. As Musk would coin it, Twitter 2.0, where he wanted those who bought into this new hardcore programming culture, would be the new order of doing business. During this whole process, Musk was blunt and took a sledgehammer to the existing business, with hubris refusing to listen to employees with valuable institutional knowledge, succumbing to his own grandiose perception of his capabilities, quickly demanding new features and policies that he and the management team immediately backtracked on. In this turmoil, Twitter is now being run by a skeleton crew of employees and software engineers, keeping the lights on at Twitter. Small problems in the infrastructure are beginning to show, and there's a looming dread of when Twitter may implode. Why did this all start? In recent years, Elon had gotten more involved with his social media presence as some of the threats to the survival of his other companies, SpaceX and Twitter, that loomed in the mid-2010s had diminished, and the companies were now healthy without that existential threat to their survival. Honestly, you can't help but be a little impressed with Elon's resilience during this time, particularly not giving up when both SpaceX and Tesla were on the verge of collapsing to bankruptcy.
Well, I mean, Tesla really faced a severe threat of death due to the Model 3 production ramp. Essentially, the company was bleeding money like crazy, and just if we didn't solve these problems in a very short period of time, we would die. And it was extremely difficult to solve them.
How close to death did you come?
Within single-digit weeks.
In response to adversity, Musk often favors the brute force approach, working longer hours to get things done faster. With recent cultural polarization, there was a backlash for people wanting to protect free speech, Elon being what you may consider a free speech absolutist. In April 2022, Elon offered to buy Twitter and became its largest shareholder at around 9% total equity ownership. He soon wanted to take over at Twitter. As Musk had said, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve its societal imperative in the current form. Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. Hello, my name is Kevin Carr. I make videos about business, software, and psychology. In this video, I will focus on Musk's decision-making when he became Twitter's new CEO. Each new leader, when they start a new position, wants to make their mark, implement their own ideas, and eventually build on their own legacy. However, the decisions we are about to go through created the chaos at Twitter we have seen the last 2 months. Musk's tenure as CEO was kicked off by massive layoffs, 50% of the whole company on November 4th. That's around 3,700 employees who lost their jobs as the economy was beginning to contract and lead into a possible recession. You can definitely understand an incoming manager's efforts to rein in cost, and one of the ways to do that is to reduce the workforce. However, the manner in which Elon and the upper management conducted those layoffs was callous. Musk did not communicate to staff leading up to all these layoffs and would not even sign on communication to employees leading up to termination. More than anything, they were struck by the fact that the world's richest man, who seemed to revel in attention on the platform they had made for him, had not once deigned to speak to them. Even some of the same employees who put in extra hours to launch Musk's pet project, the verified blue check mark feature. Twitter software engineers are fired and then were brought back by the same management when they found out that they had critical knowledge on the services infrastructure that they needed to continue running. We have one of the directors had the gall to say this: "We need to think of these people as just needing to be around until the knowledge transition is complete." This is like you being broken up by your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend and then them calling you a day later to get back together because they need something from you. Afterwards, employees were giving time-sensitive offers to come back to work. These layoffs were so poorly organized to appease the ever-changing demand of an incoming owner who wants to make an immediate impact without being introspective and learning what can remain in the current system and business and what should be changed. This would actually require you to admit that you don't know the whole context in which the business of Twitter operates, and that you could learn something from existing employees at the company. Many services were left unmanned by the teams who were let go and who had created them. Those who were let go, so went their institutional knowledge on these services, and the remaining people who were left on call to handle these services had none of this institutional knowledge. And then to top it all off, at an all-hands meeting, Elon announced that remote work was ending. And you can actually consider this as a form of soft layoffs or a way to informally encourage people to leave the company and save on expenses. Then problems on the infrastructure side started to bubble up, as many microservices deemed not to be needed were shut down previously. On November 17th, Elon sent a put up or shut up email to employees to give them the choice to either join or resign the new hardcore version of Twitter 2.0. On a Google form, these employees were given the option to either accept severance or join this new hardcore version of the company. In response to the multitude of resignations, Twitter closed its office building and suspended badge access, as a team was reportedly terrified that some would try to sabotage the company. Unfortunately, the majority of the engineers and employees left at Twitter who weren't laid off in that initial 50% layoff or voluntarily left the company and accepted severance. A lot of them are actually probably on visas, and this is their best option to keep their job and keep their work status in the country. And to cap it all off, on November 18th, Elon requests software engineers take snapshots of the 10 most salient lines of code that they worked on for the past 6 months. Now, one thing I want to bring to attention, this line from Gregory Oros and his Twitter thread regarding this whole situation perfectly encapsulates how the new regime felt and the level of respect they had for their employees. Please use this opportunity to restore confidence and demonstrate your contributions to the team and company. An important factor to remember in these engineering decisions is that Elon is not an exceptional software engineer. This is actually a quote from Ashley Vance's biography on Elon Musk and his time early on at SIP2, one of the companies he was part of. While Musk had excelled as a self-taught coder, his skills weren't nearly as polished as those of the new hires. They took one look at SIP2's code and began rewriting the vast majority of the software. Musk bristled at some of the changes, but the computer scientists needed just a fraction of the lines of code that Musk used to get their jobs done. They had a knack of dividing software projects into chunks they could be altered and refined, whereas Musk fell into the classic self-taught coder trap of writing what developers call hairballs, big, monolithic hunks of code that could go berserk for mysterious reasons. Now, a tech leader does not have to be a great programmer to lead a company, but in the absence of this expertise, there should be some form of humility to defer their judgment to the employees that are subject matter experts, especially on the code base. Twitter's belly is exposed and they are vulnerable with a skeleton crew that they have left to maintain these services. The biggest obstacle is that with so few engineers left at the company, recruiting and onboarding will be a hellish nightmare, as the few software engineers left maintaining these services will also have to onboard and teach these new engineers and get them up to speed. This is commonly known as Brooks' Law from the author of the Mythical Man Month. As you add new engineers and try to throw engineering manpower at a problem, it actually slows down as they have to be onboarded and brought up to speed on the context and knowledge of this code base. It definitely is a cardinal sin in software engineering to try to do complete code rewrite, as Elon had suggested in response to these degrading services, at least the degrading performance of these services. Reading code is probably the hardest thing about programming. And when you think that you have spaghetti old code and you want to completely throw out, the old code has stood the test of time and has experienced frequent use by real users. In addition, the old code has more of the context and functionality because of the time spent listening and implementing user demand. Elon's ego is getting in the way of him improving Twitter. He wants to implement anti-patterns, and he fires anybody who disagrees with him. Elon does not like to be challenged. Now, this does not mean people can be disrespectful of their bosses, but Elon particularly wants to be the man. Twitter is a large, complicated code base with many interconnected systems that need constant gardening. Small issues in performance degradation could impact multiple parts of this whole system. Twitter is rotting and becoming a former shell of the service that it once was, with few engineers to address problems that will go unattended and eventually accumulate. As these self-inflicted wounds from upper management decisions fester, significant outages may be around the corner as these small problems grow into on-call infrastructure nightmares. Another thing to note in this whole ordeal is the hypocritical policy adjustments Musk has made as soon as he's become Twitter's owner and CEO. Musk, as a free speech absolutist, exhibited very interesting behaviors that proved hypocritical, including banning a Twitter account user who tweeted Elon's private jet information that was publicly available for safety concerns, banning accounts that impersonated him, even though he deemed comedy legal on the platform. As a result of these impersonators abusing the Twitter blue verification feature and Musk antics as an active CEO, many brands pulled advertising spend on the platform. In one specific example, Eli Lilly, a pharmaceutical company, lost 10+% of the shareholder value because of a fake tweet impersonating the public company's social media presence and offering free insulin. In a funnier example, a fake Nintendo account showcased the video game character Mario sharing his birdwatching hobby. With any of our successes in life, it is natural to have a healthy sense of built-up confidence from the confidence we have showcased from the products or experiences we deliver. But if we think we're the sole authors of our success, we can become arrogant and discount the effect of luck and other people's efforts that played into that success. A man with a vision is easy to rally behind. You're working on something greater than yourself. However, what happens when grandiosity and hubris overcome cunning and humility?
Certainly he has the traits of grandiosity, and oftentimes entrepreneurs who get ahead because of their charisma and their vision and their aggressiveness, it becomes their downfall because they don't know how to adjust. They don't develop humility. They don't really learn from their mistakes. They think that they have the golden touch. Whatever they do is right. So if Elon Musk doesn't reach that point where he introspects and understands that actually there's some luck involved in how he got ahead. His whole success with PayPal, it was a very lucky thing. I mean, there was a lot of design in that, but there were other people involved in that early on who were also very brilliant. And so maybe he's not the genius that he thinks, and maybe he has to rethink things.
What happens when your boss doesn't listen to you about legitimate concerns and why the product is failing? What happens when you know the dams won't hold as small problems accumulate, and the pressure eventually destroys the bedrock and infrastructure? As these small problems fester into outages and blame gets thrown around, who will get left to blame? With the crowd thinned with layoffs, only a few people are left to make sure everything survives. For some people, it will be an opportunity in the chaos to take on more responsibility and grow their careers. However, at Twitter, the whims of the owner changes so frequently, you are stuck with these increasing demands and unrealistic deadlines, answering to a man who cruelly let go your coworkers and probably doesn't care about you at all or even respect you. Elon can't seem to control himself when it comes to leading companies with public consequences. His drive, ambition, and ability to question the status quo by questioning things to their first principles has led to ingenuity and success. There is no denying Elon's past success and what he has been able to do at PayPal, Twitter, and SpaceX. I do find parts of his mentality attractive, such as the need to work hard in order to achieve quote-unquote impossible goals. However, it comes back to one question. Would you want to work for a man like Elon Musk? I wouldn't.